Hey, thanks for tuning in to Between the Lines podcast. I'm Alex Woods, a former ICU nurse and founder of U.S. Legal Nurse Consultants. This show uses medical legal cases to explore judgment, strategy, and decision making. But what we're really talking about is how people think when there isn't a clear answer. The stories come from medicine and law right now, but the patterns, the missteps, and the strategy, it applies everywhere. This is about reading between the lines and knowing what to do with what you find. So let's get into it. Obviously, I did some looking up and researching of you. And over 30 years ago, you started your law firm, correct?
Correct.
Mike Morse Law Firm. And I've read a lot about your stories. I love your LinkedIn post, especially about your biggest referral client had walked into your office and said, he's no longer sending you clients, right? Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
So then how did you meet John, your COO?
Just mutual people that I knew. I was convinced by my coach in 2007 that I needed a number two. I needed a COO. He calls him an integrator to take my vision and get it done. And so it was super easy. I put out some feelers, and John was like the first person I interviewed. And it worked. He's still here 18
Yeah.
years later, and it's we're still kicking ass every day.
Yes, you are. And I saw that you guys took that money that you weren't getting and you decided to put it back into your own advertising.
That was his call. So he started in about 2008-ish. 2011 is when we got fired from the big TV gorilla here in my town. And John crunched some numbers and he said, we pay this guy, I think it was like $4 million a year in referral fees, and we're gonna take that money and start putting it on billboards and TV and digital, and it'll work out, he said. And we went, I think we were settling $20 million of cases a year, and now this year we're going to do 300 and something million dollars, and it has worked out. So
Amazing.
yeah,
Were
he was
you,
he was right.
yeah, were you hesitant at first to shift to that strategy?
No, I had no choice. I had 30 employees and 35 employees, and I had no choice. I had to make the phones ring, or I was going to have to start laying everybody off.
Tell me more about your entrepreneurial journey of how you started Mike Morse. What made you decide to start your own firm versus working for another big guy?
So I worked for a firm from 1992 to 95. They fired me on September 21st, 1995. So my 30th anniversary was literally 10 days ago.
Yeah.
And I, it was a pretty traumatic experience. And I decided that I wasn't going to work for anybody ever again. That was too much. And so I decided to just handle cases myself and never had a vision to grow a law firm. I just said, I'm going to handle some cases. I'm going to figure out a way to make some money doing this and help some people along the way. So it wasn't really a big choice, except I knew I wasn't, there was no choice to go give resumes to some people to say, hire me and pay me a salary. I was not going to be happy doing that. And so since that time, I've not worked for anybody and I never will.
I'm the same way. I've been on my own for a few years now, and I will tell my family I'm the first kind of business owner, entrepreneur in the family. Are you the first entrepreneur in your family?
That's a good question. Nobody's ever asked me. I have a small family, so I had to go through them quickly. My dad was a lawyer. My mom was kind of entrepreneurial and scrappy and had to make some money after some bad divorces and things. So I think I learned those things from her.
Okay.
I learned how to be a lawyer partly from my dad, but the entrepreneurial, never, the ultra resilience, never fall down and not get up type of thing is definitely for my mom.
Yeah. So do you feel like, you started your own law firm and then you started Fireproof Performance. What made you guys, was there a point in time that you felt like, you know what, we can do something even bigger than this? We can have a greater impact. What made you and John decide to start Fireproof Performance?
So we wrote the book in 2019. It came out in 2020. It was just going to be a book.
Okay.
We were a little bored. The woman I was dating at the time had kind of suggested it, that I have a lot of good things to share and lots of stories and lots of trials and tribulations that other people could learn from. She was right. We wrote the book, it's a 200-page book. And within days after it being released, I was getting calls from lawyers around the country saying, please coach me. Please hold my hand and take me through this process. We want to be where you are today quicker than it normally takes. So with some reluctance, we said yes, and we started coaching some firms, and they saw massive growth. They saw they are we opened their eyes to running firms differently than they've ever heard about. Looking at their data, handling a COO to run things, organizational charts, all the things that we talked about in the book, we is now almost kind of commonplace in our industry, and I'll take a little bit of credit for that.
Yeah. What have when you wrote the book and you started coaching firms and attorneys, what became your biggest passion at that point? Was it still obviously running a really successful law firm? But then did you start having, what was your other passion that fueled the journey for Fireproof Performance?
I think it was just the wanting to give back, the teaching. Um, it was fun. I love people. I love creating relationships and just connecting with people. So, and I love teaching. So I was on a lot of stages, asked to speak a lot in lots of different places, and I enjoy that. And then, we started growing Fireproof Performance, and it's just another thing to build and have fun with. And, we did a conference in Detroit, September 11th week, and I was very nervous that nobody was going to show up, and people showed up, and 24 new law firms signed on to be Fireproof clients, which was way more than our goals
Yeah.
and really gratifying. So we have I think we have 100 law firms who are going through either masterminds or coaching, or some of them do both. A lot of them do both. It's just gratifying, right? Just to take what you've learned and put it into a little business and watch it grow and take off. There's a bunch of employees there. It definitely is not my, that's not how I earn a living. I don't take money from that. The law firm is going to do $110 million in fees this year. So that's still my bread and butter, and that's still where I put most of my focus. But I have a lot of fun meeting lawyers, teaching lawyers, coaching lawyers, mentoring with lawyers. It's I'm passionate about it, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, there's something you said that I want to piggyback on or add on to. You said you love to give back. Tell me more about how you started Project Backpack then.
I learned that there was a need uh, 12 years ago-ish in Detroit, that kids didn't have backpacks, and kids were bringing some supplies in a garbage bag, and teachers were giving them and buying them supplies out of their own pocket. And we started small. We did a school, 400 backpacks, and it felt really good, the feedback we got, meeting the teachers, meeting the students, meeting the parents, all the feedback, all the love, all the I mean, it was overwhelming how great it was. And it was for 400 backpacks. I said, like, we're making a difference in kids' lives for a $10 backpack. And so I thought, this is a problem I can handle. So I said to my marketing team, I said, find out how many kids there are in Detroit, K through 5. And the number was like 23, 25,000. And I said, let's give every one of them a backpack. I'll pay for it. Don't worry about it. Let's just do it. And we've been doing that for 12 years, and we've given out over 350,000 backpacks to date. We have an event in our parking lot every year, which is a huge, Detroit party with blow-ups and food and dancers and music, and it's a community event that I'm being told people in my community in Detroit that they look forward to it. They know that they can save that money. They don't need to go buy their kids backpacks. They know that supplies in a brand new backpack every single year is going to be there by the firm, from the firm. And so it's a thing now.
Yeah.
and it's pretty darn cool.
Yeah, the videos that you guys post, you and John, it's really awesome to watch the cars drive by and pick up backpacks, and it looks so fun. Uh,
You should come next year, Alex.
yeah, yeah, I think I will
Okay.
because it's something that you just have to be a part of to really understand the gravity of it, and I just think it's amazing. So,
Thank you.
um, one of your testimonies, I wanted to ask this, and there's a couple other questions that I want to really ask because the purpose of me doing the attorney mini series was to ask questions in a way that could teach other legal nurse consultants, but also attorneys. And attorneys want to learn from attorneys. And when I got more feedback from attorneys DMing me on LinkedIn, they were like, "We really want to see the whole video because we want to learn." And so teaching seems like it's a passion of yours, and I think you've grown into that role whether you wanted to or not. Um, but one of your videos, I think it was Jen Gore. She said it was what she liked about Fireproof performance was being in a room of people that were, I can't remember if she said smarter or better, but that's my passion for creating US legal nurse consultants. I never, when I started it back in 2022, I was never like, I want this to be the biggest company, legal nurse, consulting company in the United States, but my dreams became bigger. And with that, it's funny enough because I almost messaged you and John last year because of your story. And the more for me at least, and tell me what your journey's been like, but the older I get, I have two kids, and my dreams and visions continue to get bigger and bigger. And sometimes being a mom, having those ambitions kind of can be sometimes controversy or whatever, but I just feel like putting the best people in the room is how you create dynamite companies and incredible cultures and setting those expectations. For you, for your companies, are your values the same in each one? How did you set a culture that demanded or commanded excellence?
Well, we hired a coach early on to help us figure out what our culture should be. What should our core values be? Lawyers listening to this don't have core values, and if they do, it's because they've read one of these books and they sit down and they write core values. But I was reluctant, I was resistant, I didn't understand it. But my business coach um, made us. He forced us. In 2007, he sat down myself and my executive team and said, "Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to spend all day if we have to. What makes you guys so successful? What are the characteristics? What are the traits?" And we had 100 of them, right? We narrowed it down to six, and those six have lived with us for 18 years. And because of those six characteristics, our culture has grown from that, stemmed from that. We reward, we recognize, we retain people, we fire people based upon the core values. So when I'm talking to a new law firm and figuring out if coaching is right for them at this point, that's something that we talk about because a lot of law firm cultures, business cultures actually in general aren't great. They're not consistent. People don't know if they're. My first law firm job that I told you about that I got fired, there was no culture. It was a shit culture if there was a culture. And that I didn't know what was important or wasn't important to anybody. And I didn't know if I was doing a good job. So when I do my quarterly state of the firm meetings with my staff, where we all gather in one room and I get up and I talk for an hour, I have them on the wall, the core values in the corner, and I say, if you're not sure if you're doing a good job here, look at those six core values, and you will know if you're doing a good job. And if you don't know what they mean, like that's a problem. Figure it out. Ask somebody who's been here for a long time. And so there's no guesswork.
Mhm.
So for me, it's super important to have a good culture, obviously. Define your culture, and it'll drive excellence. And
Mhm.
without it, you just kind of are just like floating in the wind.
Yeah. I totally agree. A couple of years ago, I was the same way. I was like, if I'm going to bring the best people in, they need to know who I am, and I think those values are a direct reflection of what is really part of who we are too. And so that's kind of how I built my values. It's black or white. Like these are our values. We need to find a way for you to get in, to fit in these. And I love missions. I love visions. I love values because I think some people undervalue that and they don't think it's a big deal. But I think that's a huge part of establishing a culture that people don't want to leave or they stay for a long time and the turnover rate isn't crazy high. So
Agree.
yeah.
Violently agree.
Yeah. All right. So these are some of these questions that I love asking. So first, you kind of told me about how your journey started, but I want to know first what drew you in out of all the specialties, what drew you into personal injury or medical malpractice? And was there a specific moment, a case, or experience that solidified your path?
So not really for me. My dad was a personal injury lawyer. I used to go to his office as a kid. Every Saturday we'd go down there. He would talk about it. My first law school job, after your first year of law school, you get a job at you're a clerk or whatever. My dad got me a job at the biggest personal injury medical malpractice firm in Michigan, in Detroit. It was called Lopate and Miller at the time. And I worked there my first summer helping accident victims and med mal victims, and it was amazing. I mean, I thought this is really doing good work. We are really making a difference in people's lives. And so I was hooked right away. And there's not a specific story of a case. It was just the general sense. My dad did it. Now I'm here doing it. I get it. It's every case is different. Every day is different. Every hour is different. I thought I could get behind that and do a decent job.
And you filled those shoes very well. Mike, can you walk us through one of the most complex cases that you've had and what made it challenging? Was it legally, medically, or both?
Alex, I've been doing this a long time. I've had
No,
35,000 cases.
I know.
I mean, there's challenges. I mean, wow, I've tried a ton of cases, dozens and dozens of cases. I tried a big one last year, which was complicated. A boy, a young man, was at somebody's house and asked for an Adderall's, as most kids do, to
Hmm.
study.
Hmm.
And the idiot friend gave him a high dose of Molly instead. And as my client was suffering through the Molly overdose, nobody called him an ambulance or police, and he died. And that was a horrible, traumatic case that no parent should go through. And I took it personally and I took it on and I tried it and I got them the largest verdict in Michigan history, a $75 million wrongful death verdict last year. I am not a criminal defense attorney. The University of Michigan Innocence Project brought me a case and said this man is serving a life sentence without parole for a crime we don't think he committed. Will you look at it? I'm not a criminal lawyer. I looked at it. My team liked it. We took it on, got him out 2 years
Wow.
later. Tons of crazy things that happened during those 2 years.
Yeah.
I could go on and on and on. Last year we settled 20 million, 30 million, $37 million wrongful death cases. All of them were complicated. All of them had to be expertly handled. I'm actively involved in the negotiations. Um, there's just so much.
Yeah.
I could go on and on and on and on and on, but there's there's so many aspects to it. I think for the lawyers listening, it's my definition of success is complicated, but it's mostly, working on what I want to work on any day of the week. Like what I want to wake up in the morning and do what I want to do. I want to work on things I love to do and work on things I'm great at. That's success, right? So when I coach clients, coach lawyers, and I'm on stages, that's what I tell them that you can get there. And I'm living proof. I wake up every day and I can do whatever the heck I want and work on whatever types of cases I want. And I that's what I preach.
Yep.
And so if you listen to if people are listening to your podcast, they want to get better. They want to improve their lives. They want to improve their practices. They want to become more predictable. Hopefully, they've read Fireproof and it's given them some of that. Uh, and just to keep learning and growing to get to a place where, what's your happiness place? It's not money. I've never met a lawyer who said, okay, once I have $1 million in the bank or $10 million in the bank or $100 million in the bank, I'm going to be happy. Us lawyers, we just keep moving that gold field
Mhm.
goalpost. And so it's not money. It's other things, and they have to figure out what that is. And we like to talk to people about that and coach people on that because, how are you going to know you got there if you don't have that written down or thought about? So
Well, what
it's
was that for you?
it was freedom,
Mhm.
freedom to do whatever the heck I want to do,
Mhm.
and I'm here
Mhm.
right now. I get to talk to nice people like you. I get to go participate in whatever cases I want or interview people or not work. Go play with my kids.
Yeah.
Go to a Michigan football game tomorrow.
Yep.
Go on a trip. So that's what I do. And yeah, I've been doing this a long time, over 30 years. So it's not, I also have lawyers who call me, they've been practicing 5 years. We want to be like you, Mike, today. I say, oh, well, good luck.
Mhm.
There's some hard work that goes behind it, but definitely with the right coaching, and there's lots of good coaches out there. With the right coaching, you can speed it up.
Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore with that because I have a business partner and a lot of books that I read, a lot of podcasts I listen to. And they said if you want to grow faster than those who came before you, find a mentor and learn from them because it will shave off years of trial and experience or trial and error. And although I think it's so crucial to experience hardships, and I think that's what's part of resilience is. And I think it's really important to feel those failures and experience. However, having a mentor and giving up a piece of the pie is also wherever your goal is, freedom or doing, what your day looks like and not being chained to somebody else's dream. Having a mentor, I think, I would echo onto that times 10 because I think it's so important.
Yeah, mentors are great. I had several, and then I got into formal coaching because the mentors I needed more. I wanted more,
Yep.
and it worked out. But I agree with you.
Yeah. So the few cases that you had mentioned, or even back to when you first started Mike Morse Law Firm, what was in the complexity of these cases, were there any strategy shifts? And it sounded like yes, in some of the things you had said, but were there any strategy shifts or turning points or key moments of collaboration that like just stands out to you with you and your firm or other experts, co-counsels, whoever?
I mean, every single case we have to collaborate with the doctors and the you know, people on the case. I mean, it's a full team effort. I can't, nothing overly stands out. I mean, we've had very helpful experts, of course, throughout the years. We've had helpful doctors, we've had unhelpful doctors. I use a trial coach to help me get my message across and practice my voir dire and practice my stuff. So, at my firm, we have 60 some odd lawyers here. It's a full team effort.
Hmm.
Uh, but it's, every case, right? Every case there's somebody who's key. There's a doctor, there's a psychiatrist, there's a economist, there's somebody who is kind of playing the hero role for this client, and you need to focus on it and present their testimony in the best way possible. Um, so you got to find that person in every case.
Do you do focus groups for your cases?
On the important ones,
Yeah.
sure. We do focus groups, we do mock trials, we do big data, we do um, we do in-house, we bring in experts, we go to facilities. I mean, we want the information. We want to know what a jury is going to think about this. We'll test throughout the case. We'll test some cases right before trial, you know. It's a lot.
Yeah. I love what you said. You said I have a trial coach, and the more I ask you questions, the more you always bring in how you have strong consultants, strong coaches, and you're not like, it's interesting because usually when I talk to attorneys, they're the center point, and they delegate, but they're heavily involved, and you're heavily involved, but you also are leveraging experts that have either more time or simply just better and have more experience. So I love that every time I ask you a question, you're like my trial coach or my business partner or my business coach. And I think that is why one of the reasons, it has to be one of the reasons why you are so successful in your law firm and Fireproof Performance.
Well, I appreciate that, Alex. And one of the things we talk about at Fireproof, and I've said this on national stages, is that lawyers, sometimes are their own worst enemy and they have to figure out their egos and they have to become very self-aware. And lawyers aren't great at that. The ones we coach are, because I'll talk about my vulnerabilities and, when my ego used to tell me that nobody at my law firm could do this better than me. And I've given talks in front of 200 lawyers, and I've said, how many lawyers in this audience feel that way? Every single hand goes up. And I'll pick a few people and I'll say, what's yours? And trials or negotiating or getting clients to do what I wanted to do or whatever it is. And I just learned through years of therapy and years of coaching and years of reading and self-help books and all the stuff, all the things, um, that's just not the way of the world. That's not how I can do things. I know that I don't know everything.
Mhm.
My ego is in check. I'm very self-aware. And if I need help, I bring it in. I'm good at giving others the credit. I have not listened to your stuff yet. I will, but I know some of the lawyers you're kind of talking about who there's a lot of lawyers out there who can want to control it all and think they're the best. And it's all because of them. That's just not me. And I don't think it's sustainable. And I don't think a lot of those lawyers, if you look at their law firms, there's 5, 10 people. And what's the culture like? Usually not great.
Mhm.
I mean, I know a lot of very, very successful trial lawyers who have a shit culture, who people don't want to stay. They hate running their firms. All they want to do is try cases. And they were forced into this business. And then they were forced to figure it out. And it never goes well. I very rarely have I seen it go well without help. But once you get the right help, it goes way better.
Have you broken some shells? Like some of when they come to you and they come to Fireproof Performance, they obviously want to be there for a reason. But have you had like tough people that you've had to crack to be like, or have you had to ever be like, listen, we're not going to be a good fit,
100%. It happens all the time.
really?
I'll talk like I won't like there was firms that call me, yeah, we have 6 partners. And I'm like, okay, how often do you meet? Oh, we can't, our schedules don't align. We meet twice a year. Yeah, okay, well, you're not going to be a fit in Fireproof. You're going to need to meet every week and every quarter. We're going to do a 8-hour quarterly. And if you can't do that, we're not together. And usually the big partnerships can't do it. Even 2 partners is hard.
Hmm.
But 2 partners who are aligned, no problem. So yeah, if yeah, there's lots of people who don't. I was a difficult one. I met my coach. He was giving a speech. I wanted to hire him, but I didn't want to close down my office for a day and go sit in his office for a day and pay him $10,000 or whatever it was. And so I waited a year, year and a half, and now all these years later, I'm pissed I waited that long because I'd be a year and a half ahead of where I'm at today. And I get it. So I'm able to coach and talk to people on the phone when they call me and say, am I ready for coaching or whatever? Because I was there. I was reluctant. I didn't want to slow down. I didn't want to stop. I didn't see the benefit fully.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, I do. And it's easy to talk about. It's fun to talk about. I've never met anybody who got coaching who didn't get something out of it. They may not be a lifer like me, but everybody gets stuff out of it. I mean, there's so many things to learn. One of the first things you mentioned about, you didn't say these exact words about being the smartest person in the room. You didn't say that. but I hate being the smartest person in the room.
Right.
It's not fun for me. My ego might like that, but I don't like that. I want to learn.
Mhm.
I can't be in a group or a setting unless I'm on a stage really teaching to younger lawyers or whatever. I can't, that's not a fun place to be.
Yeah, I had to learn that at a younger age. My dad was military. We went through some traumatic experiences when I was younger and lost my brother. And my dad didn't like to show vulnerability emotions, and so my dad was my role model. And so I guess my exterior was harder. And so I put up walls, and when I went into nursing school and then I landed a job right in the ICU unit, I hated asking for help because I thought it was a weakness. I hated showing vulnerability. I thought it was a weakness. I hated crying. I thought it was a weakness. And it's how, I was a few months in on my own in that critical care unit, and it's how I was stuck in a crashing patient's room alone because my mentors on purpose, they stood outside the hall, down the hall. They knew that this patient was going to be do pretty poor. And yeah, he was crashing and I froze because I did not like to ask for help. And it was like that, I guess that was one of the pivotal moments that I had. And a year later, they were like, Alex, you have changed a lot, like as a nurse. Like, we're not scared to send you in crashing patient's room anymore. And it's like, yeah, because I don't know what I don't know, and I will kill somebody if not. And I know certain things aren't that severe, but you could lose relationships if you're that way. I mean, you could harm your children that way. Like, there's just so many different aspects of that. And I started during my entrepreneurial journey, listening to podcasts and books. I started becoming obsessed with surrounding myself with people who have been there, done that, who have so much wisdom. And I was like, listen, I welcome people who know more than I do because it's hard what you've created too to create something so big, and not just big but impactful. You have to know when to invite the people on, the right people, and you have to know your weaknesses and your strengths and know when I'm not good at this area, so I'm going to pay for that skill. I don't want to learn that skill because I'm not going to spend 10 years learning that skill when I know I'm good over here, but I'm going to pay for this skill and this skill and this skill and have the best people. And that's how you grow like a successful company, I think. And that's what you've done.
I think so.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're on the same path, and I'm sorry all those things happened to you as a kid. But I had a lot of the tragedies, and I have a friend, one of my best friends, Dave, believes that people are the most successful people he knows had some pretty messed up things happen to them as kids.
Mhm.
There's no data to support that, but all those things that we learned as kids makes you a better nurse, makes you a better lawyer, makes you a better person, better parent, I'm sure. And and being able to recognize it, that's a good skill too.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike, and you're probably going to say the same thing. And you're like, well, Alex, I've been doing this for 35 years. Like, we've been doing a lot. Every year we do more and more. But what's something that you and the firm's done that's elevated your practice or given you an edge? So AI is big. Has it been technology like AI integration, strategy, process? What's helped the firm become more effective, connected with juries better, serve clients more, preliminary assessments?
If people read my book,
Okay.
the 5 pillars in the book are things we do at this firm.
Okay.
That's what grew our firm from 17 million before coaching to 320 million in settlements this year. That's what I do. It just that's the process. And so we do so much different than what other firms do. We absolutely treat this like a business. We have our core values. Every process is documented. Everybody's held accountable. We're all aligned. I have an amazing leadership team where it's full of A players. Our marketing is better than anybody else's in this country. It stands out here in my market. And and I've been able to delegate, and everybody's taught how to delegate. And so I'm not holding on to things I shouldn't be holding on to. We want everybody to work in their sweet spot.
Mhm.
So culture's good. Our turnover rate's under 10%. It's a good place to work. And our clients are happy, and we've done over $2 billion in settlements. I mean,
I love that. The five pillars in your book.
read them,
Read them and know them.
memorize them.
Memorize them. All right, we've got like 5 minutes left. I want to respect your time. In your experience, this is a tougher one, but what is one of, through your trial experience, let's hone in on that. What is one of the most overlooked factors that can completely change the trajectory of a personal injury or a medical malpractice case?
I mean, the first thing that came to my head, there's so many, is the likability of your client. If the jury doesn't like your client, they're not going to give them a lot of money. I also, in my verdict, I mean, I definitely think that they want to like the lawyer too. The jury liked me. They knew who I was. Um, they knew that I fight for the little guy. They know that I handle big cases. So it was helpful having me in the courtroom, I think, for that big case.
hmm I love that. Yeah, whatever came to first of your mind, that's what I was
Okay.
looking for. So, Mike, where can people learn more about you, your firm? They'd like to connect. Do they come to your firm? Do they go to Fireproof Performance? Do they reach out to you on LinkedIn? What's the best way?
I mean, I've been for posting consistently on LinkedIn for the last year and a half, and it's a lot of fun. We have over
Yeah.
20 over, I think we have 21,000 connections and a bunch of followers. So I would start there. It's just I think it's just Mike Morse.
Yeah, it
Uh,
is.
Law firm. Is that what it is? You can DM me if you want more information about Fireproof. We have masterminds, we have coaching, we have a conference that we did in September. We're gonna do another one next year sometime. We have we get together a lot because I'm social and I like to meet people, and so we bring people together in our summits, and I bring a bunch of vendors together that they get to meet who helps my firm grow, so that I introduce them to all my vendors. Vendors love it, of course, and so that's fun. And yeah, LinkedIn, I'm on all the channels. They could find me.
Yeah.
Mike Morse Law Firm, YouTube. You can see all my commercials
Mhm.
on YouTube, on our YouTube channel.
Okay, awesome. Listen, I thank you so much for coming on here. I know you're very busy, so I appreciate more than you know. But I have you for like 2 more minutes. So I'm going to ask you, what is the next thing that you have planned? You've got to have something up your sleeve that we need to be on our lookout.
So, um, other than lots of trips and travel and fun, I'll be at Business of Law in November, but that's not what you're asking about in Phoenix. I love Phoenix. Got a little house in Phoenix. You ever go to Phoenix?
Oh,
Oh, Phoenix is great.
okay.
Um, So I'm giving lots of talks. I'm excited about AI, and I am excited about we are testing out this weekend actually AI voice on my phones. And a lot of lawyers are scared of it. A lot of lawyers are dipping their toe into it. I'm going to be the first law firm in the country that goes all in on voice AI, answering my phones, doing intake, taking client calls. Got to test it all. I'm in the testing phase
All
right now,
right.
but I think that AI is so smart, and you can put up enough guardrails that it's not going to give legal advice. It's not going to do stupid shit. But the 90% of the questions that people want to talk about, or confirm something or drop off something, information can be done AI and free up people on the phones, which is the biggest time suck. So I'm working on that, and hopefully I'll share with my Fireproof community the name of the company that's doing this for me eventually when it's operational. But that's the next big thing for my firm.
All right, that's amazing. The big thing, especially in my industry, a lot of legal nurses, they reached out to me. They're like, is AI going to take over our jobs? And I said, AI will take over your job if you don't leverage AI. And the big thing that I've always heard is, do you want to be the blockbuster of Netflix? And I think people have a lot of ignorance around AI. because it is a wonderful thing. And if you use it and integrate it into your practice, you will be ahead of the game. But if you are hesitant, resistant against it, it'll be hard to keep up. I am so excited to see what Mike Morse law firm comes up with this AI. So,
Stay tuned, Alex. Stay tuned.
okay, I will. All right, Mike, I appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend. How many calls do you have left this morning?
I got a few more interviews to go.
Okay.
It's not over.
All right. Well, hopefully this broke it up and you were able to.
Did for sure. Breath of fresh air, you are.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you. Hey, if this episode changed the way you think or gave words to something that you already practice, subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you know someone who makes high stake decisions, maybe solves complex problems and works in gray areas, send this episode their way. Between the Lines is for people who care about how judgment actually works. We'll see you on the next one.